We're alive, Jeff. We are
Live.
alive. Alive and well. Welcome to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for June 2nd. And I'm going to call it January based on the weather we've been having here in Newfoundland.
Oh, no.
It is January. I went for a bicycle ride yesterday morning, and I looked at my phone, and it was a whopping 3 degrees Celsius. For those of you in the United States, that is 37 degrees Fahrenheit on the 1st of June. So it was a January ride.
That is maddeningly.
It is. It is.
I don't know how you deal with that.
I don't know. Layers, multiple layers.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with. So happy January, everybody. It is January the 6th, or the 2nd. Welcome to our video chat. I am joined by Jeff Samataro, right? The man, the myth, the legend.
No. You're the legend, Lee. I'm just here.
Come on. Yeah, a lot of people look up to your progress that you've made over the years, man. So again, Jeff has gone through the whole Muscle After 40 blueprint program and is now helping out as my right-hand man, helping out with the program and helping to inspire many people along the way with your transformation and the knowledge you've gained. And one of the things we want to discuss now is the topic of training at a commercial gym versus a home gym versus maybe some different one-on-one training options or whatever is out there. We kind of discuss the pros and cons and whether you can make progress in these situations. You know, because some people think, well, you got to join a gym in order to make progress. Some people think you have to have certain situations or certain circumstances, and we're going to discuss that because we have some unique experiences with this. Before we get into that, I just want to double check that this is coming through loud and clear for everybody who is joining in. We have Bruce is joining in. I actually was just having a conversation with Bruce earlier today. So welcome, Bruce. Glad to have you joining in. We have Cool Gamer joining in. I recognize the names, tuned into the last few chats we've had. And I just want to make sure, guys, is this coming through loud and clear? If it is, just type a loud and clear into our comments. Just make sure. Double checking. Hello, Trish. Anything I can help you with? Oh, she's just poking her head in the door and she pokes her head back out again. Oh, she doesn't want to be on that YouTube thing. Loud and clear, loud and clear. Awesome. Good, guys. Thank you so much. All right. There's always, when I do these live video chats, I'm aware of that. There's always a slight delay. I think there's like a 15-second delay from when the words come out of my mouth from when you actually hear it on the other side of the internet. So when I ask a question, there's usually that little delay there. But I'm glad it is coming through loud and clear. So let's jump into our main topic of discussion here today, and that is training at home versus a home gym. And I've got experience with both, and I just want to kind of share my background with this. I started working out from home with very minimal equipment. My equipment, my initial workouts, was with those plastic cement-filled York barbells and dumbbells. Jeff, did you ever have those? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? You must be.
I've never seen or used them. No.
Oh my God! Like, am I that old? They were everywhere. If anybody is in their 40s or beyond, like people were tripping up over these in their basements. Type in the comments for those of you watching this live if you know what I'm talking about. Those ginormous cement-filled plastic York barbell dumbbell sets. Like every department store had them. Like everybody, like they were everywhere. Anyway, they were ginormous. Like the 25-pound plates were bigger than a 45-pound plate that you would get in the gym these days. Like they were so thick and just these big, bulky, because it was just filled with cement powder. That's what it was. Like there was not iron. It was just a plastic plate, and it had a little cap on it. It was filled up with cement powder. And that's what I started working out with. So I never really pumped iron. I pumped cement for the first few years of my work, pumping cement. And that's what I got started with. My dad had one of those York cement-filled barbell dumbbell sets and screwed around with that in my early days. And then we eventually got a home gym. It was a York 2001 home gym machine, which also had cement weight plates. So it had a weight stack, but each weight stack plate was cement filled. So it was plastic plates filled with cement again. And did that. That was kind of a cool machine because it had like a chest press and a pec deck and a leg extension, leg curl, and high and low pulley cables for pull downs and bicep curls and tricep push downs, all that kind of stuff. So I'd used that for several years, and we gradually started to build onto that. We added a power rack and added some real iron weights, several years down the road. And one cool thing is my dad, he's a bit of a handyman. Actually, he's a pretty damn good handyman. Give him more credit than saying he's a bit of a handyman. He's a darn good handyman. And what we did, is we went around to some of the local gyms, and my dad would take his pen and paper, and he would look at the equipment, and he would sketch it out on his notepad and take his tape measure and measure it out. And then he went and he duplicated and made a lot of home gym equipment himself. He was welded it up down in our garage. So we had like a calf raise machine, a hammer strength machine, a power rack, dip leg raise station, whole bunch of stuff, T-bar row, like a lot of equipment that he made himself, that he just went to the gym, got the measurements, and then went to work, bought the materials, and welded it up himself. So that was our core home gym we had for years. And I did my first 8 years of training out of that home gym. Did 3 competitions from that home gym. So my start into the world of fitness was not in a commercial gym whatsoever. My first 8 years was starting very basic and then building up to a pretty decent gym setup, but again, all from home. And I'm just curious, Jeff, how about you? Like, I know, but for the benefit of our audience who's watching, how did you get started with it?
Well, I grew up and my dad had a home gym in our childhood home, and it was just like sporadic, like dumbbells and plates, and he had like an Olympic bar, and a dip station, just like basic stuff. And I remember he used to have a friend of his from work would come over, and they would work out down in the basement. And it was, I remember hearing the heavy metal blaring from the basement. They would listen to like Slayer and Pantera and all that stuff. But they were down there and they would lift weights, and so he accumulated a lot of stuff over the years. And when my parents moved out of their childhood home, or my childhood home, I remember I was helping my dad move all the stuff out of the house, and he had all that gym stuff, and he looked at me and goes, "Do you want this?" And this was before I had started working out or anything like that. So I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? Just thinking like, one day I'll probably get in shape, probably start lifting some kind of weights or something like that. So I put it in my basement, and that kind of became like a project for me over time, like adding to it over the years. So I started buying more plates, like mix and matching. I got more dumbbells, got more bars. I bought a power rack. I bought a vertical leg press machine, a belt squat machine over the years, a calf raise machine. And I've just added to it like over the years. And now it's really become something really, really cool. Like, I mean, you have everything you need. I put mirrors down there. So it turned into a project, and I mean it's fun for me now, like finding things that I can add to the home gym, to the man cave, if you will.
The man cave, love us.
Yeah. So, but that's where I work out. I mean, I've worked out at commercial gyms before, but I've always enjoyed personally just working out alone by myself at home and in the basement. That's where I like to work out. I prefer that atmosphere over the commercial gym atmosphere.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, and obviously it's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's like, what's your personal preference? So I mean, obviously you're making it work, and you've made an amazing transformation going through that workout from home, right? Which is great to see. I love that. I mean, just to kind of share that, because I know some people here are probably wondering, like, what kind of progress can you make from home? Well, let's just see. I actually have some photos of Jeff's transformation here. Where is it? Let's see. I'm just going to share that for the benefit of those who may be unfamiliar with you and your transformation. But let me just share that. Can you see this? Let's see. Is it coming through there? Hopefully it is. Right?
That is me.
There. I mean, like, let me make that a bit bigger. Let me go into slideshow presentation mode.
Different stages of me. Yes.
Different stages of you. That's right. That is you. All right. So there. I mean, that's Jeff's full-on transformation, right? I mean, you started off as a portly gentleman in the salmon-colored shirt, right? And
yeah,
I've got a similar picture to that. And the reason why I say similar is because I was fat and happy, and I was smiling in the picture and everything else, and I had a big grin and everything else. But then when I seen the picture afterwards, like, I was not smiling. I was like, holy smokes, like, who's that fat guy in the picture?
mm-hmm.
So yeah. I think you could probably relate to that. And then in the second one, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the picture with the salmon shirt there. That was the picture that made me want to make a change. I remember taking that picture and then someone showing it to me and just being like devastated on the spot with what I looked like. Yeah.
Right. And you got the jowls there and everything, and you can see, you can't
pointing that out. Yeah.
Right? Like, people think, well, I'm going to dress to hide it, right? No, you can't hide. Like, if you're overweight, people know you're overweight, regardless of what clothing you try to hide it in.
Well, that's what that the shirt and everything. You notice, like, I'm wearing an undershirt there. I used to always wear an undershirt under everything to hide the man boobs, and always had the button downs. Always wore a button down all the time because I thought it was slimming at the time.
Slimming, yeah. But still, like, it's good that you're sharing this, because I bet most people watching this, they can probably, well, I tell you, to take this to another level, a lot of times people say, well, I just don't like pictures, right? I don't like taking pictures and everything else. It's not anything against the pictures. They don't like the way they look. That's what, so very often, like, people who reach out to me for help, like, they don't have a profile picture on their Facebook account, for example. Like, they just have whatever, a logo of their favorite sports team or some picture of their kids or something else. But, like, they're so embarrassed at how they look, they don't even want to put a picture of themselves out there. I see that a lot. That's a very common situation. Like, you get that wake-up call, because the camera doesn't lie, right? The camera tells it like it is. Like, boom, that's what you look like, dude. Right? So it's kind of a wake-up call. But the first picture, or the middle picture, I should say, that was you after you went through our metabolic reboot phase. So, like, the first phase of the whole program, you really focused on getting your SHIT together, improving your eating habits, improving your lifestyle habits, getting some solid exercise, and you trimmed off a lot of body fat, right? Like, you got down, I think it was 235 to 186 or somewhere in that range, I think it was.
In that middle picture?
You're around 186, I think, in that middle one.
Yeah, around 186. Yep.
Yeah. So, and then in the final picture, that one was one of your more recent ones, where you've gone through the whole lean gain body recomp, and you see, I mean, you filled out your frame with lean mass while still keeping low body fat, and that's the whole goal here, is not just this bulking and cutting and all this, but to achieve a lean muscular physique where you have visible abdominal definition, you're lean, you're healthy, you're feeling good, and building that lean muscle on your frame. So it's I love to share that, because that's our whole system that we have in place now within the Muscle After 40 blueprint. Is that, let me just share it here. Where is it to? The 3-phase physique transformation, the metabolic reboot, the fat loss accelerator, and the lean gain body recomp. So, I mean, that's a prime example of you going through all those different phases there. And the cool thing is, you did it from home, right? You did it from working out from home, which is what I was getting back to with this topic of working out from home.
Yeah.
Oh. Yep. And so right now you're still working out from home. Like, you don't have a gym membership or anything like that, do you?
No, I don't. I find that I focus better when I'm at home. And I also like the idea of just, like, going down to the basement and doing it instead of like getting in the car and driving someplace. Like I find that the by eliminating steps to me waking up in the morning and then going to the gym, if I can make it like just stupid easy, where it's like I literally just open up the basement door and walk down there,
Yeah.
then like I end up working out every single day. But if like I had to like put the shoes on, get in the car, drive to the gym, go to the locker room, all that kind of stuff and like everything like that, it just ends up taking a lot of time. So, I mean, I can get in and out of my gym downstairs within 45 minutes to an hour,
Right.
and get a killer workout and then just be on with my day. So it's just a preference. It's what I like to do. I go and I train at a calisthenics gym once a week, but it's not really a gym. It's like a studio where the guy who I train with, he owns the spot, and it's just a one-on-one session, me and him. And I like that atmosphere better. So yeah, it's just preference. It doesn't matter where you train or whatnot, but just for me, I like it better.
Good. I mean, I respect that. And like I said, I've done home workouts for years and certainly made some good progress from it. Now I'm at the stage where I do train at a gym and I prefer the gym workouts. And our situation is a little unique because I work from home. So I look forward to the gym workouts because that's an opportunity for me to get out of the house
Sure.
and do something I enjoy. And my wife works out with me as well. So this is kind of like it's a healthy date. Like a lot of people have dinner dates or coffee dates or whatever. Well, we have gym dates. So 3 times a week we're planning, hey, let's go to the gym together. So that works out really nice. And I mean, sometimes afterwards we will go and grab a healthy lunch after and make it a full proper date. So instead of dinner and a movie, we have gym and healthy dinner. We can do it that way. So it spends quality time together, we get out of the house, and we enjoy it. So it's a great way to do it. And of course, when you have a good commercial gym, and the gym that I train at, Omega Health and Fitness in Paradise, Newfoundland, give them a shout out because they're one of the best gyms around, in my opinion. They have an amazing facility. It's 10,000 square feet. They've got oodles and oodles of equipment, like everything from strength training to all the different cardio and lots of it. I mean, I love it. I mean, you go in there and feed off that motivation, that energy. And of course, with all that equipment, there's no shortage of variety with the workouts. So I really enjoy it. But at the same time, I still have a home gym in my basement for just the same reason that you mentioned, the convenience aspect. So if we're pressed for time, or if there's a snowstorm or some reason I can't get out to the gym or whatever, then I have my backup in the basement, which I use, still use it quite frequently, which is a power rack and cable pulleys and dumbbells and barbells and, all the basic core equipment that I need to get in a great workout, along with some pieces of cardio. So, I mean, I'm still using the home gym, but I would prefer the commercial gym just because my wife and I, we make it a special occasion. It's a workout and a little date all combined together, right? And of course, there's a bit of social aspect there where you get to chat to some of the regular members and things like that. So it just makes it fun. But bottom line, it's what works for you. But the key thing here that we really want to share is you need to have a good setup regardless. Like if you're going to work out from home, you'll have to invest into getting a good home gym one way or another. Like nobody got in shape curling soup cans. You know what I mean? Like everyone says, well, I want to get in shape and I don't want to spend any money on equipment and I want to have no, you got to have something, right? Just like a carpenter needs the right tools to get the job done, you're going to need the right tools to build your body. So if you are going to work out from home, don't rely on a can of soup or water bottles or thinking I'm going to do something with nothing. You got to have the tools available.
Yep. I agree with that. But at the same time, though, I really think you could you could make a pretty good home gym with not a lot of equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just got let's say you got a pull-up bar, you got Olympic rings, and you got resistance bands.
Yep.
Like, you know, I mean,
that would cover a lot. That would cover a lot right there.
Yeah, I mean, you could get a whole a whole total body workout doing with just that equipment alone. And then maybe get like a cardio machine, get like a spin bike or something with like a subscription, like a Peloton or like an Echelon or something like that. Yeah, and then those adjustable dumbbells too, you know, like the ones like the power blocks and go from like, you know, 5 to 50s. Like,
you could start adding on, but like what you just said at the beginning, if somebody's like really saying, okay, I'm on a budget, I don't have much space, like what's the bare minimum? A pull-up bar, resistance bands, and the rings, or some sort of like TRX straps or something similar, you know, that would provide the similar benefits of rings. That would be very inexpensive. I mean, you could probably even go on Facebook Marketplace or something and pick that up for next to nothing.
Oh yeah.
Right. Or go to any sporting goods store or whatever. And that would be a great start, because resistance bands are so versatile. Like I remember back in the whole pandemic lockdown, like I was doing follow along home gym workouts using resistance bands, because like that is so versatile. But you can still duplicate a lot of movements that you would do in a gym with resistance bands. Now it's not as good, but it's good enough. It's good enough.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. And then of course you can always make it better as you go, but it doesn't take much to get started. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool. Let's share that. Let's jump in here now. See who else we have joining in. We've got Robert is joining us. We have Maz is joining in. Welcome, Robert. Let's see. Bruce, I think he was talking about the plates that I was mentioned earlier. York or Weider, both of them made the same ones, those plastic cement-filled weights, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you still have the weights, Lee?
Not anymore. No, we gave them away, actually. But
oh, man.
But yeah, they were, man, everybody had those. I'm serious. Everybody did. Robert's saying Jeff doesn't know what he's missed.
I know.
Big bulky weights. That's what you missed.
I know. I really do feel like I missed out on something here.
The problem with them is the barbell was this, you know, the 1-inch bar, and it wasn't ones with sleeves like the new, you know, the Olympic bars today, the rotating sleeves and stuff. It was just this 1-inch bar, and then the problem was it was only 6 feet long, and the plates were so massive that you just couldn't fit enough weight on. So like people would literally be maxing out how much weight they could put onto the barbell. You know,
I bet it looked pretty badass though, right? With like the small bar and the giant plates. It probably looked like you were benching way more weight than you actually were.
It kind of went the opposite way for me, because that's what I was so used to starting off. And then when I seen iron plates, and I'd look at them, I'm like, oh, that's not that heavy. And then I pick it up, like, holy shit, that is heavy. Right? Like the 10-pound plate was smaller than like a 2-pound plate of the plastic ones, right? So I remember the first time picking up iron plates, and holy crap, these things are heavy. Right? Didn't realize it. But yeah, that was an experience for sure. And I'm sure a lot of the people 40 plus can certainly remember those. And I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of guys who probably had, or maybe still have, those weights kicking around. We did a clean out recently and got rid of all that old stuff. Yeah. Anyway, is there any questions here coming through? Let me see. Way these video chats work, if you're not familiar, myself and Jeff are going to hang out here for a little while doing some question and answer. And I know, Jeff, you probably have to run soon because you have a gig tonight, don't you?
I do. Actually, I got an early one today, so I only got another like 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. Yeah. We can talk about this one. Robert's saying, I was looking on YouTube about Steve Reeves' workouts. He said he would do 3 sets per body part with 7 to 10 reps. That seems like it would be way too much. Not really. I don't think so. I don't know if that seems very reasonable to me, but now I don't know if you're there, Robert, feel free to elaborate on your question there. But when you look at a lot of I'm just going to talk about this because a lot of the old school bodybuilders did a lot of high volume workouts. Like Arnold, if you watch any of Arnold's old stuff, I work out 4 or 5 hours a day, twice a day, 6 days a week, right? Sleep faster.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to sleep more. You just need to sleep faster.
I love that.
Right now, let's be honest here and let's be realistic. Like, sure, when he was in his bodybuilding heyday, I no doubt he probably did, bust his ass for hours a day and everything else. But you can only do so much at a time. Like, he has a speech online where he talks about he works out 4 or 5 hours a day, and he did acting classes, and then he also did real estate investing, and he also did something else. And like, you can't do it all at once, right? Because there's only 24 hours in the day, and even if you didn't sleep, you still wouldn't get it all done. Right? But you can focus on bodybuilding. Yeah, maybe you go through a short phase of training like a madman, several hours a day and make it work. Or you can prioritize the acting classes and focus on that. Or you can focus on whatever, the real estate investing and other aspects. But you can't do everything at one time. You have to have that balance in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I love Arnold and I respect him and everything else. And I've been like watching Arnold in the movies back in the day. It was actually Conan the Barbarian was what motivated me to start working out.
Yeah.
It was the first
awesome movie.
Yeah, I mean, I seen it when I was way too young. Like, I should not have seen it. It came on TV, right? And I was like, just, again, you seen a barbarian with swords and killing people when I was only like 12 years old, right? Which didn't seem like a big deal back then, but nowadays, we kind of filter things for our children a bit more, I think.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that, and I was like, holy crap, like, that's a man with muscles. And the first time I ever seen, besides a cartoon character, that was a real life human being with muscles, at least real life on TV. And that's what motivated me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to look like Arnold. And that's where that's where the iron bug was bit, if you will, right? Watching that, as I'm sure he motivated millions of people. But getting back to Robert's question there, I mean, like the old timers, and Steve Reeves, he was actually an inspiration for Arnold back in the day. Like, Steve Reeves goes way back. And he used to do a lot of high volume workouts. And that was kind of the thing back then. High volume, more is better a lot of times. And they would probably do 3 sets per body part or per exercise, I think, but train virtually every single body part. And sometimes workouts would be like 50 exercises or something like that over the course of a workout. That's when you get into these 4 to 5 hour workouts, right? Where guys are doing insane volume. I'm not saying it's the optimal, but hey, they made it work, right? It made it work. And did you like, there's a lot of things you can argue the pros and cons, but I think the biggest thing you need to look at is the consistency. Like, if you're consistent, even if it's not optimal, you can still make it work. Sometimes people make progress in spite of something and not because of something. Like, even if it's not the ideal program, if they're consistent and they're putting in that effort and determination, sometimes they can make progress in spite of it and not necessarily because of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's see what else we got there. Is there any other? Let's see if there's a good question or so much. And Bruce is talking about those old dumbbells. He said, I could only get so much weight on the barbell and dumbbells. And that was the limiting issue, right?
Yeah.
I know Jeff got to run soon, so let's see if we can get a question for Jeff. Who has a good question for Jeff?
I could chime in on the last one, actually.
Okay, feel free. I would love that.
Talking about the Steve Reeves thing.
Yeah. The old school workouts, the high volume days and stuff.
Yeah. I see a lot of videos, and maybe you see them too, Lee, where it's like somebody like Dwayne The Rock Johnson or somebody like that, who's like, I get up at 2 a.m. and I train at 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and then I go and do this and then I go do that and everything. And then they go to bed at like 1 a.m. and then they wake up at 3 a.m. to go to do it all over again, like, kind of thing. Yeah. And I always like hate those kinds of videos because it's just so like misleading for the normal person, the normal everyday person who is just trying to get into shape. Like, it doesn't have to be that intense, right? Like, at all. Like, not even it's in the ballpark of that kind of intensity. Like, you can make a ton of killer progress by just trying to be consistent and just working out like every day for like 45 minutes, right? It's like you can make a ton of progress doing that. So,
right.
So when you see like celebrities and stuff, like trying to push that kind of lifestyle, you know, like it's not to say it doesn't mean that like you have to live that crazy psychotic type of lifestyle to be in really great shape and be really fit and healthy. So I don't look up to celebrities. That's you know, find like a mentor, somebody who is a real life person that is in your community. You know, like somebody at one of the gyms that you go to or something, or somebody like you, Lee, or myself, and look up to those people, because those are the people that have everyday lives, careers, kids, other obligations, and are still making it work and still in great shape and prioritizing fitness in a realistic way that most people can do.
I love that, Jeff. I love your perspective and take on that. And I'm just going to share a follow up to that. Like some of these things where you hear like what the pros are doing or what the celebrities are doing or whatever, like there may be some truth to it. Now, again, it could be embellished quite a bit. Like every time people tell a story, the story always gets stretched. Like think of, you know, the typical fish story, right? When you retell the story, the fish always gets bigger each time. You know what I mean? Like the story gets more embellished, and you know, you got to sell the sizzle, if you will, right? Make it sound more dramatic and bigger and better than it actually is. And that's just human nature. We all do it. We all embellish stories.
Yeah.
And a lot of it could be embellished. So when you hear all these, like, oh, I work out for however many hours a day, like I get, right, I sleep for 30 minutes a day and work for 23 and a half hours a day, right? Go get them, Tiger. Like, and there may be certain situations where, like, in the short term, they pulled off some crazy, you know, a crazy schedule for the short term. Like, it's amazing what the body is capable in the short term. Like, you can do some pretty insane things, but you can't do it day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. Like, you can probably do it for a spurt. And I'll give you an example that we can all relate to. Think of, like, cramming for exams when you were in university or college or high school or whatever. Like that is a very intense time period. Or you're cramming to get a term project in, or maybe you're doing a project at work and you're working overtime and you got a deadline to meet and you're running on all 8 cylinders. You're burning the candle at both ends for the short term to get something done. But then once that thing is done, now you're going to scale back to a much more manageable, realistic, sustainable lifestyle. So, you know, maybe when they are pushing to get a movie out, like you mentioned, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, okay, yeah, he might be working crazy hours and burning the candle at both ends to meet that deadline. But then once that's over, right, he's going to kick back and relax and recover, because you just can't burn the candle at both ends forever, right?
Yeah.
You can go hard for the short term and then you back off to something more sustainable. And this is the biggest problem in fitness in general, is this all or nothing. Like people think, well, that's it. Right? I'm going balls in, balls to the wall. I'm going to go, you know, crazy cutting diet. I'm going to work out for hours on end. I'm going to suffer it out. Right? I'm going to force myself to get in shape. But like, you can't force yourself to get in shape for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like, that's a short-term thinking. And the way I always like to look at fitness and nutrition is, if you can't see yourself doing this for the rest of your life, or, you know, a long time, I mean, obviously when we're 98 years old, we're probably not going to be, you know, riding 100-kilometer bike rides and hitting the gym that hard. I might have to scale it back a little bit. But, you know, realistically, if you can't see yourself doing this for the next 10, 15, 20 years, like, you're probably not going to do it long term. Like if it's something that you're just suffering through in the short term, it's probably only going to provide short-term results. So think bigger, think more sustainable. And that's what we really focus on within our advanced coaching program, is this long-term sustainability, not this short-term suffer it out mentality.
Yeah. You build the cake over with long-term consistency, and then you can ice it with short-term intensity, right?
I like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's something we all have to go through. Like, you got to realize the bigger picture perspective of things. And sometimes when we see crap on social media or read stuff in magazines or wherever, they're selling that, you know, the highlight reel. But there's a lot of day-to-day crap that does not get featured.
Yeah.
And you have to balance it out, right? It's not always the highlight reel. There's a lot of day-to-day crap in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you for jumping in. I know you got to run. And I always ask, Jeff, where are you playing to tonight?
I am playing at the Portsmouth Gaslight in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And then tomorrow I'm playing a wedding in New London, New Hampshire.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So busy weekend.
Busy weekend. Well, hopefully you have a good one. And what's the weather like this weekend? Is it going to cooperate for you?
I don't want to tell you, Lee, because I know you got January over there.
Oh, yeah, we got January.
But it's okay. It's 90 degrees and sunny today.
90. 90.
Yeah, 90 degrees and 90 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny.
I have 9 degrees Celsius right now on my phone. 9 degrees, which it's in the low 40s.
Yeah. Man.
There.
I don't know how you do it, Lee. I mean, I thought New England weathers were brutal and long, but it sounds like Canada's a whole nother game.
Well, see, Canada is a big chunk of mass. Like, we're out in the North Atlantic. We're in kind of the oddball because it doesn't get ridiculously cold in the winter, and obviously it doesn't get hot in the summer.
Yeah.
We're kind of like hovering that suckiness a lot of times. But hey, there's a lot of pros and cons, right? It's a nice spot to live, but weather is a variable. Summer hasn't kicked in yet. But when it does,
well, keep working on that beach body, Lee, because one of these days it's going to be summer.
One of these days, that's right. I'll hit the beach without a parka on.
Perfect.
Anyway, buddy, you have a good one, and thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it, and we'll be in touch.
All right, thanks, Lee. Have a good one.
Right. I'm going to keep this show going. I'm going to answer a few more questions, but you can. Jeff is heading to a gig. All right, so let me jump in. We got TS joined in. He sponsored the chat. Very much appreciated, TS. Thank you for that. Says, I've not been to the gym for over a week and eat a week and a bit. Oh, sorry. I haven't been to the gym for over a week and a bit. Eat less for BG linear progress. How do I get back on track? I'm doing linear progression, and I did not go for a week and eat less. How do I get back on track? Okay. Well, first off, you didn't go to the gym for a week. Like, that's not a major setback. Like, if you said, oh, I haven't been to the gym for a month, or I haven't been to the gym in months, that would be a much more concerning. But for a week or even a couple weeks, I mean, yeah, you will have a little bit of deconditioning during that time, but it's not a major setback. It's something that you should be able to bounce back from very quickly. And the way that I would bounce back from that is the first week back. So let's just assume, you're planning to start again on Monday, right? Diet starts on Monday, workout starts on Monday. Let's just assume, for the sake of the question, that you're going to start again on Monday, which is not always a bad thing. I know I sometimes make fun of it, but you got to start sometime. So you start again on Monday. What I would recommend is for the first week, just kind of go through the motions with the workouts. And what I mean by that is you still work out, you still do things, but you're not pushing it you're not going pedal to the metal. You're not going 100%, right? Like whatever your normal was, you're going to do like 3/4 of that. Right? Instead of going 100%, you're going to go 75%. Right? You're still going to go through the motions. You're still going to work out. You're still going to do everything you normally would, but just not push that intensity. So allow your body to get back into the rhythm of exercise, get back into the groove of everything without stressing your central nervous system, without breaking it down. Because when you try and do too much too soon after a break, even if it's a short break, you're at a risk of injury because there is a bit of a deconditioning that happens. It's amazing how fast the body can decondition, and it's also amazing how fast the body can then recondition afterwards, right? It happens very rapidly. Like if you miss a week in the gym, you will feel it. You'll feel your fitness and your peak strength and everything else, start to go down. And vice versa. Once you have another good week in the gym again, you'll feel it start to build back up. So it can happen very quickly. But you just want to have that first week going easy. The second week back, you could probably be pretty close to where you were when you left off. And then hopefully in the third week and beyond, you could even start to push for some new personal records. And that's usually the way it goes. And a lot of advanced athletes purposely structure their training in this sort of fashion. It's kind of like a periodization type of training where they go through phases of building themselves up to a peak, and then they purposely do a deload and back off, let the body rest, recover, and grow, and then build it up to another peak, and then back off, let it rest, recover, and grow. And they go in these waves, of waves of intensity. So you can, whether you did it unintentionally, as you probably did here, or you're doing it intentionally, you just have to respect the body and work within that. So if someone was purposely trying to cycle their training intensity, like first week, like I said, you're kind of going through the motions. Second week, you're doing a little more. Third week, doing a little more. And then eventually you're going to build yourself up to a new peak and then hopefully hit a new personal record. And then you're going to keep pushing for as long as you can, for as long as the momentum carries on. Like if you can still make progress, hey, don't stop. Like if it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So keep pushing until you start to hit that threshold where your recovery is not able to handle the volume of the training or the intensity of the training. And then once you feel like you're at your peak, and how you'll know this is usually your strength will start to decline. So you might hit a personal best and then all of a sudden think you can't even match what you did. And I see this all the time where guys say, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like last week I benched 200 pounds for 10 reps. This week I can hardly get it for 7. Right? What the hell? Like I'm losing strength. What's wrong? It means your training and your intensity is beyond your recovery abilities. So you're not fully recovered. Once you're at that threshold where you're having a hard time to even match your previous personal best, you need to go through that deload phase or that taper phase. There's a whole bunch of words people use, but bottom line, you need to back off the intensity, let your body rest, recover, and grow, and then build it back up. Now, when you're going through that deload phase, it doesn't mean you stop training. You still train, but you just reduce the volume, reduce the intensity so that you're not stressing your central nervous system. You're not breaking the body down, but you're still keeping active, right? So that's a critical thing. You want to keep the activity, keep the consistency there, but just lower the intensity. And this is something a lot of people struggle with because in the bodybuilding world, a lot of people are brainwashed into this whole high intensity BS. Like they read about all these high intensity workouts and people say, you got to train to failure. You're not going to stimulate muscle growth. And I got to go to failure on every set of every exercise, every workout. And if I don't, then I'm wasting my time. Like you cannot push yourself 100% all the time. Like it sounds cool to say you're going to go 100%, but if that was really, if you could really go 100% all the time, then that's not truly 100% because there'd be another level. Like 100% means like that is the max that you can physically do. Like that's burning the candle at both ends, something you can only sustain for a very short period of time. It's not something like, oh, I go 100% every day. Right? No, you don't go 100% every day. Right? It's something that can only be sustained for a very short period of time before you end up blowing up. Right? You're going to overdo it and overtrain. It's almost like trying to say, my car red lines at, I don't know, 8,000 RPMs. And I drive my car at 8,000 RPMs all the time. Right? If you keep driving your car right up in the red line all the time, the engine's going to blow. Like it's there for short bursts. It's not meant to be stayed there all the time. Right? You cannot sustain pedal to the metal, full throttle intensity all the time. It's for short bursts. And yeah, you can do some short bursts and hit some new personal records and everything else. But the majority of the time, you got to scale that stuff back to something that's more sustainable. So, that's a whole lesson in and of itself that we could go into a lot of detail on. But just want to share that for TS that for the first week back, just scale it back to say 3/4 of the intensity. For the second week back, you can probably start to try and duplicate what you did before. And then hopefully even on the third or fourth week back, you start striving for some new personal records. All right. So appreciate that. Thank you again for your support. Much appreciated. What else have we got there, guys? Let's see. Neil saying, Good morning, Lee and Jeff. Well, it's just Lee now, but good morning, Neil. Is taking a bath right after a workout bad? I'm always on crunch time before work, avoid being late, or should I wait until my body cools and muscle pump goes off? It doesn't matter. Like, a lot of people get a bath or a shower or whatever after their workouts. That has zero impact in terms of your progress, your performance, your growth, or whatever. Like, I hope you get a wash after your workouts, especially if you sweat and you stink and everything else. And I'm sure everybody else would probably appreciate it as well. But like, either whether you do it or don't, it's not going to hinder your gains. Like, what's going to hinder your progress is your training, your nutrition, your consistency, not whether or not you wash afterwards. All right. Now, from a hygienic point of view and a being friendly to your neighbor point of view, so you don't stink up your workplace or whatever, yeah, they probably appreciate it if you got a bath or a shower after your workout. But as far as progress, it ain't going to make one row of beans difference. Rod's joining in, says, I'm just getting back into working out and want to clean my diet up, but I want to start a cleaner, somewhat bulk. Do you recommend starting off on the slow bulk first? We kind of, myself and Jeff kind of addressed this a little bit earlier on. Like, we do not recommend this bulking or cutting approach. What we focus on is optimizing your training and nutrition with better habits. And then you can modify that based on what it is you want to achieve. So if your goal is to bulk, right, I'll use that term because it's one that a lot of people realize, but the way we refer to it in our coaching program is it's a lean gain body recomposition. So body recomposition means, hey, I want to lose excess body fat while building lean muscle in the process. I want to recomp my body, right? That's what most people want. It's not so much bulking or cutting. Like, most people just want to be leaner and more muscular, i.e. a body recomposition. Now, if you do want to gain weight, right, like, let's just say you're really skinny and you want to fill out your frame with some muscular body weight, then yeah, you do need to be into a slight caloric surplus, but not a massive one. Like, the biggest problem a lot of people make is they go on these massive calorie surpluses where they slam back, 1,000+ calorie surplus. And yeah, you'll gain weight from 1,000+ calorie surplus, but it's not, your body cannot manufacture lean muscle that fast. Like, your body can only gain lean muscle so fast, and the rest is going to spill over to body fat. And that happens, right? I mean, unfortunately, most people have to learn this the hard way. But if you've ever went on a bulk for any length of time, you probably got fat in the process. And if you didn't, then you're probably a genetic, mutant who can tolerate it. But most people, myself included, every time I've went on a quote unquote bulk, I got fat. And then I had to go on a cut afterwards, try and lose the fat that I gained while bulking. And then what ended up happening is, in the cutting process, you had to be so restrictive to try and lose the fat that you gained while bulking, they end up losing the muscle as well. And it's like this catch-22, and you're never going anywhere. You're spinning your wheels. So at the end of your bulk and your cut, you don't look any better. You're the same. And then people are like, I don't know what the hell's wrong. I've been bulking and cutting and I'm doing all this for years, and I still look the same, right? I'm not making any progress. So that's why we need to really dial this in. And the key is to keep your body fat low. Like, purposely getting fat is not going to help you with your health, your fitness, your hormone profile, all that kind of stuff. I mean, staying lean will not only help to allow you to make leaner gains, it'll help to improve your insulin sensitivity, it'll help to improve your metabolism, it'll improve your overall health and fitness, and keeping your blood pressure down and all the stress on your heart and everything, your organs. It helps to improve your hormone profile. Like, when you have low body fat, it helps to optimize testosterone production and growth hormone and insulin management and all that stuff, your blood glucose tolerance. Like, your body is more efficient when it's lean. Like, if you got 50 pounds of extra fat or more, that's hindering your metabolic processes. Like, that's making your body all gummed up and sluggish. So it's not firing on all 8 cylinders, if you will. So when you keep yourself lean, everything else is just optimized. And then what you can focus on is just adding in a very slight surplus. And when I say a slight surplus, like, literally bump up your caloric intake by maybe 10%. Like, that's it. So, like, throw some real world numbers out there. If you're eating 3,000 calories a day and you add 10%, that's 300 calories. Like a small surplus like that, I know it sounds so small. Like people say, oh, come on, like a few hundred calories isn't going to make a difference. Yeah, that can make a noticeable difference. And that's something your body can manage and tolerate, and it's not going to throw things out of whack. If you say, oh, I got to eat 1,000 calories surplus or 2,000 calories surplus or whatever ridiculous number you come up with, your body's only going to utilize a small percentage of that, and then the rest is just going to be stored as body fat. And then that's something you got to try and lose afterwards. So, you know, if you want to focus on that, lay the foundation first, and I would recommend getting yourself lean. And I'll just share that again. Myself and Jeff just talked about it here. Where is it? I'm going to share the screen. A second. Where is it? In fact, I'll take you through it. If you don't mind, I'll just take you through it right now. Share screen. Share screen. Where's it to? There it is. Right here, the 3-phase program. So you can see that, right? Actually, let me move that thing so you can see it. Phase 1, metabolic reboot. Phase 2, fat loss accelerator. And then phase 3 is the lean gain body recomp. So the first phase, right? This is the key that we want to focus on first, right? You got to learn to walk before you run. Right? Unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to do that. So phase 1, the metabolic reboot. This is where you really want to focus on optimizing your training and your nutrition. And the goal here is to reset your metabolic hormones, build lean muscle, increase your health, strength, and energy. And not trying to starve your fat with extreme low-carb cutting diets or trying to just pack on mass with extreme high-calorie bulking diets, but we want to focus on optimizing it. Optimizing your training and your nutrition so that you're energizing your body, fueling it with nutrient-dense foods while burning body fat and building lean muscle at the same time. So we're resetting things. And the goal that I always mention with this phase is we want to get healthy. Like a lot of times people forget health in this whole process. Like, oh, I'm going on a cut or I'm going on a bulk. And I like, well, what's that doing to your health? I don't give a shit about my health. I just want to get big or I just want to get ripped. Well, health matters. Like at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Like, I mean, who cares if you can achieve your body composition goals and then you die of a heart attack, a few years later. And we see this happen all the time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people don't take care of their health and then they suffer the consequences. So the goal of this metabolic reboot phase is to improve your health first. And then by having better health, it'll help you achieve your body composition goals. Not the other way around, like so many people do, is try to hit my body composition goal, and hopefully by doing that, it's going to somehow make me healthy in the process. No, we want to focus on getting healthy first. Health is priority, right? Without your health, none of this matters. After that, well, first of all, I'll just share like that metabolic reboot, this phase 1. This was Jeff. I mean, we just had Jeff on joining us a few minutes ago. He said after the metabolic reboot phase, he used to weigh 235 pounds and was disgusted with how he looks. In the picture to the right, he says, I'm 186 pounds and feel the best I felt in my life. And you can see, like, he got rid of that excess layer of body fat and got down to focus on getting healthy, getting lean and healthy. Then we stepped it up with phase 2, right? The fat loss accelerator. Right here, the goal is to carve out muscle definition with next level fat loss strategies. So this is where you can start to incorporate some stuff that are used by competitive bodybuilders or fitness models, some advanced strategies to tap into burning stubborn body fat and carving out visible abdominal definition. So whether you want to lose a lot, like if maybe you got 100 pounds to lose, or we just want to lose the last 10, right? We focus on customizing out a specific nutrition plan to help accelerate your fat loss so you can get that lean, ripped body you deserve while enjoying the process. So this is phase 2 of our 3-phase program. And this was Jeff's results after going through the fat loss accelerator. It says, 10 months of working with Lee, I'm telling you, this process works. Having a system to follow and a coach to bounce ideas off and accountability, knowing that I'm not going through this alone, has made all the difference. And you can see he's stripped away that stubborn belly fat and has visible abdominal definition. So he made a great fat loss transformation. And then the final phase, this is where things really get fun, is we focus on the lean gain body recomp. So we want to fill out your frame with lean mass while keeping your body fat low. And that's the key, keeping your body fat low. Because, hey, it's easy to fill out your frame with mass. You just eat like a pig and pile back, oodles amounts of calories. You'll gain mass all right. but it's, you know, it's fat mass, right? You watch an episode of My 600-Pound Life, right? They gain mass, all right, but it ain't good mass, right? We want to have quality, not just sheer quantity. So that's where the whole lean gain body recomp comes into play. So once you've graduated to this phase of the program, you'll be supporting a lean athletic physique, but now we want to step things up to the next level and achieve that body recomposition by packing on lean mass to your chest, shoulders, and arms while keeping your waistline trim in the process. And this is where the fruits of your labor really start to show, because in this phase, you'll develop the kind of muscular physique that commands attention and respect, and you'll actually look like the type of guy who works out. Right? This is what most people want. They want to look like the type of guy who works out. Right? They just don't want to be fat and bulky, or they don't want to be skinny and ripped. They want to have that lean, muscular, athletic look to their physique. And again, here's Jeff's results after he went through that final phase, phase 3, the lean gain body recomp. He says, I'm still shocked by the progress I made. Looking back at it now, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. He says, Lee's program has been a game changer. It's made me a stronger, more confident, and a happier human being. And you can see the changes. Like, he's filled out his frame with lean mass while still keeping his body fat low. And that is what most people want. Like, that type of result, that type of physique, the ideal, you know, lean, gosh, freaking phone there. Remember, it happens all the time. I do these freaking live videos and I get freaking, well, it's my fault. I should be turning my freaking ringer off, but I keep forgetting. Anyway, what was I talking about? Talking about Jeff's progress and the progress. Yeah, so he went through the lean gain body recomp, and I said, yeah, the results that Jeff has now, like, that's where most guys would love to be. Like, they just want to have a lean, athletic body that they can be comfortable in. Like, they're not interested in trying to win the Mr. Olympia or you know, be the world's strongest man or anything like that. They just want to take their shirt off and feel comfortable with how they look and feel confident in their own skin. You know, be able to go to the beach or go to the pool or go to wherever and not be embarrassed about how you look, right? That's what most guys want, and that's exactly what Jeff has achieved. And not only achieved, but sustained, and sustained while enjoying the process. So that's the cool thing about this. So again, that is the whole transformation. You can see, like I said, he went from a very portly chap to a trimmed down chap to now a lean and muscular chap, right? The full transformation going through the 3-phase system that we outline within the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. So there you go. So that was from, I just wanted to acknowledge that for Rod. So what do I recommend? I don't recommend bulking, but I would recommend that 3-phase system. And Rod, if you would like to learn more about that, like how it works and all that, just drop me an email or send me a message on Facebook or whatever, and I will send you a PDF brochure that I have that actually outlines that full system. So you can literally see how it works and read about it. So I put together a full PDF that outlines the whole thing. If any of you who are watching this now would like a copy of that, just drop me an email. I got my details down below the video in the description, or if you're watching through Facebook message me and just say, hey, send me the Muscle After 40 PDF, and I'll get that sent over to you ASAP. And it outlines this full system that I just briefly touched on here. All right. Let's see what else we got there. See any other questions? Motez says, hello, I am single kidney. How can I fill the protein spot with other ingredients and still be able to build muscle? Okay, so you have one kidney, and obviously you're probably on some sort of restricted diet because of that. That, my friend, you're going to have to discuss with your doctor or your nutritionist or whoever is taking care of your health. I'm going to be fully transparent. That is outside my scope of practice. I'm not a medical professional. I am not a doctor. I'm not a kidney specialist, and I don't even pretend to be one on YouTube. I mean, I would love to help you, but honestly, I'm not the person to ask about that. I don't know the specifics of your situation, your dietary restrictions or whatever, so you're going to have to discuss that with your doctor to see what you can and cannot do as far as nutrition goes. Right? I'm sure there's ways around it. I'm sure whoever is treating you for this has probably dealt with this to some degree with other people, and hopefully has some solutions for it. But I'm not the person to ask, and I don't want to try and even pretend to give advice, because I mean, who knows? I might say something that could be perfectly fine for a person with healthy kidneys, and then might be, catastrophic for someone who has kidney issues, or in your case, a single kidney. So I'm not even going to dive into it, and it's not out of not wanting to help. It's out of respect for you and your health. Right? It's outside my scope. All right, let's see what else we got there. And TS is saying, thanks, Lee. Just wanted to get my mind in check. Much appreciated. Yeah, if there's anything else I can help you with, feel free to reach out. Whether it's an email or a Facebook message, feel free to reach out. Here's an interesting question from the Gladiator. All right, love it. It says, I've been fasting twice a week for 36 hours at a time for weight loss, eating a calorie deficit the 5 days I do eat. Your thoughts on this strategy? I have utilized different fasting protocols in the past, and they do work, right? They do work. I mean, I went through a phase for a while where 1 day a week I would do a full 36-hour fast. So basically how I did it, and maybe this is how you're doing it as well, I'd stop eating when I went to bed. I think I used to stop eating when I went to bed on Sunday night, and I didn't eat again until breakfast Tuesday morning. So it worked out to approximately 36 hours. Right? It was in that time gap. And I did that. I was actually getting ready for a bodybuilding show, and I was kind of wanting to step it up my fat loss. And I was looking for other advanced strategies that I could try to throw into the mix, to create a more aggressive calorie deficit. And I did it for the short term. I did it for, I don't know, maybe a couple months or so. And it can work, but there's some pros and cons to it, because one of the advantages is if you truly follow it and you keep everything in control. I mean, you'll create this massive calorie deficit, because if you go, a day without eating, right, that's a massive calorie deficit. You can't get a bigger calorie deficit than not eating, right? That's as low as you go, right? So it's a great way to, create this massive calorie deficit, and it did work. But the drawback to that is it creates this rebound, and where like you drive your appetite through the roof, and very often people then end up overeating once they break the fast. And that's something you got to watch out for, right? So if you are going to do this, I mean, it's aggressive fat loss, and there is a time and a place for aggressive fat loss, but you got to look at it like, is this sustainable? Is this something you're going to do day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out for forever? And if it's not, then the results are only temporary. And chances are you're probably looking for some short-term rapid results, right? So it can be utilized in those type of situations. Like in my case, I utilized it to help peak for a bodybuilding competition, but it wasn't something that I want to do on a regular basis. So in my short-term goal, it was a strategy that did work in the short term. But again, the drawback is when anybody goes on some sort of prolonged fast, whether it's a day fast or even intermittent fasting or whatever, it kind of triggers the response that you want to overeat afterwards. And then your mind plays games with you as well, saying, well, I didn't eat for the last 36 hours. I deserve to have that bacon and eggs and pancakes and sausage for breakfast the next day. Or I deserve to go out for pizza, or I deserve to go to that all-you-can-eat buffet. I mean, heck, I didn't eat for the last however long. I mean, I deserve this, right? Like, that's the problem with intermittent fasting. People will starve themselves all day, and then they'll end up overeating in the nighttime. And two reasons. One, because they're just freaking hungry, because I haven't eaten anything all day. Your blood sugar is rock bottom. Your appetite is sky high, and you just want to, your natural survival instincts is telling you to eat. So, I mean, you're going to go into that. And then, of course, your brain plays games with you, saying, well, I didn't eat all day. I deserve to have that bag of Doritos. I deserve to order a pizza. I deserve to have, that chocolate chip cookies or whatever your junk of choice is. So you really got to watch that. And it requires a lot of discipline and willpower, right? So, I mean, it isn't like a free-for-all. It's not like, hey, this is an easy way to lose weight because it doesn't require any discipline or whatever. No, it freaking requires a lot of discipline, because once you go through that, you got to exert a lot of willpower and a lot of discipline to control yourself afterwards. So there's pros and cons to it. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, can it work? Yeah, if you're really strict, you're really disciplined, and you follow it to the letter, yes, you can make it work. But there's a lot of room for error. And another thing, when you're going on these prolonged fasts, there's a lot of room for muscle loss. So some of that weight you're losing is not just body fat. It's going to be lean mass as well. So you got to factor that into the equation. Personally, I'm not a fan of fasting. I don't do it at all myself. Like, I have done it in the past, and I have had some so-so results with it, but I do not do it now. I do not encourage it, and that's that. Lee's joining in. Lee's a regular to our video chats. He says, I want to add nuts into my daily food intake. Am I right in thinking most nuts are healthy apart from peanuts? And I was thinking a handful of roughly 25 grams would be enough. Well, there are some healthy nuts for sure, like almonds and walnuts are two really good ones. But do you need them? You don't necessarily need them, but they can provide some extra healthy fats, and you can certainly incorporate them. I mean, it's not good, bad, right, or wrong, but I mean, like, you could certainly do so. The only thing you got to be careful of when it comes to nuts is they're very easy to overeat. Like, they're so calorie dense, and they're so easy to just snack on. Like, it's easy to grab a handful of nuts out of the jar and just, snack, grab another handful and snack. They're very easy to snack on and very easy to overconsume. So you got to be careful. Portion control is critical. How I would recommend, if you want to incorporate nuts into your diet, whether it's almonds or walnuts or something like that, those are two really good healthy ones, but there are others. I would recommend adding it like a garnish to your food. So, for example, how I incorporate nuts and seeds and things like that in my diet, when I'm making up a large garden salad, I'll sometimes put, a small handful of nuts and mix it in throughout the salad. So it's used as a garnish, and it makes the salad gives it more flavor, more texture, and all that stuff. But it helps to control the portion. So rather than me just grabbing a handful out of the jar and snacking on them and then having the temptation to go back for another handful and keep going, I just put this portion of nuts over my salad, and then the volume of the garden salad fills me up. The nuts add a little bit extra taste and texture and enjoyment to the salad. So it's a great way to get both. Another way you can do it, like if you're making a stir fry, like even a lot of Asian recipes, like Chinese food recipes have like a stir-fried meat and vegetables, and they might throw in some almonds or some nuts in with it as well, and it adds a lot of flavor, and it's a nice garnish to the food. So certain ways like that, that's how I would probably recommend eating it, as a way to get the benefits and to control the portions at the same time. Because once you put the hand in the jar and you start snacking, it requires discipline and willpower to not go back, to stop it. It's almost like when you start eating potato chips, right? Once you crack open the bag of potato chips and you start eating, like it's a slippery slope, because you're just going to keep going back for more, right? You just can't eat one, right? It's most people are going to keep going until that bag is empty, and that's the temptation when it comes to eating any type of snacky food. Like, and nuts fall into that category as well. So you can certainly include them, but there's probably some better ways of going about them, like I just mentioned, using them as like a salad topper or an ingredient in with like a meat and veggie stir fry or something like that. Let's see what else we got. And Rod is saying, I've heard macadamia nuts are way easier to go, or they're the way to go, easier digested. I honestly, I'm going to have to look that up, because I'm not totally sure off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, nuts provide some good healthy fats for sure. But regardless of what kind of nut it is, portion control is key, because they are all very easy to overeat if you are not careful. Here's a cool question. I'm going to answer this one and then probably get ready to clue this up. But Bruce is asking, taking baths and showers, what's your take on ice baths or cold showers? So I've been doing them recently, and the next day I feel like I had a workout without touching a weight. That's cool that you mentioned that, because this is something that I have been getting back into myself. A few years back, I was really into following the Wim Hof method. For those of you who are not familiar with Wim Hof, Google search him. He's all over the internet. WIMHOF, Wim Hof. And he has his Wim Hof method. And he has numerous world records for cold exposure and all kinds of stuff. Like, just type it into Google, and there's documentaries and videos and articles and podcasts, you name it. There's a gazillion stuff about him. But his nickname is the Iceman, and he's very famous. He's kind of made this kind of stuff, cold showers, ice baths, all this stuff, really taking it to the next level. And you know, that's where we're seeing the emergence of a lot of this in recent years. A lot of it has come from, you know, some of his work and his records and things like that. So I followed that back in the day for a while, and I loved it. I mean, I made some really good progress with it, and kind of fell off the bandwagon with it. I tell you how I fell off the bandwagon with it is when I made my comeback into competitive bodybuilding back in 2021. I made a comeback into the Masters bodybuilding stage. I competed in classic bodybuilding, and it was just, it was starting to become too much. And I'll explain what I mean. Like, I was doing the breathing exercises. I was doing the cold exposure, whether it was physical cold exposure outdoors in the wintertime or cold showers or ice baths or whatever. But I was doing that, and I was building it up in progressive overload fashion. And that does take a lot of stress. It does place stress on your body. Like, you do feel the effects of it, but it is strengthening your body, right? I mean, you are getting stress and metabolic benefits. Like, it does have positive benefits, but it does take a lot of effort, right? Like, when you are doing the breathing exercises in the Wim Hof method, he has a series of breathing exercises in cold exposure. And then, of course, when you're doing the cold exposure, your body has to work so hard to generate its internal heat. And you do feel like, you know, you're getting, even though it's not physical, you feel like it's physical activity just to deal with that cold exposure. And as I was getting ready for the bodybuilding competition, I was on a calorie restricted diet. I was doing extra workouts in the gym. I was doing extra cardio to try and create that calorie deficit for fat loss. And then I was like, and then I'm going to stack this, you know, the Wim Hof method with the breathing exercises and the cold exposure on top of it. It's like, I'm feeling like I'm getting burnt out. So I said, you know what, for the short term, I said, I'm going to lay off the Wim Hof method and just focus on bodybuilding contest prep, because that's my main priority now. And I went ahead and I did the bodybuilding contest and everything else. I did quite well with it. I was quite pleased. Won my division in the Masters category. But afterwards, I didn't take back up to getting back into the Wim Hof method until just recently. So over the past month, I've actually been doing it on a regular basis. And it's amazing how fast it can come back to you. But I'm a big advocate of it. Like, there's a lot of health benefits to cold exposure. And there's a lot of health benefits to the breathing exercises, as he outlines in the Wim Hof method. I actually made a YouTube video about this, right? Let me see if I can find it. I made it, oh, geez whiz. It was a few years back now. A good few years back.
We're getting ready to...
Shut up there. Let me see if I can find it for you. I'll just get the link for it. There it is. Okay, it's called My Experiences with the Wim Hof Method. Let me see if I can get that link.
What if you could do SEO?
Stop bloody advertising. Turn the volume down a bit. All right, I'm going to grab the link and post it into our chat window so you can go check that out. Where is it to? Over here. So this is for you, Bruce. I'm just posting the link here. This is my I don't know if I'm spelling this right. Experience. No, I'm not. Jeez, I can't type. Slow down. That's right. When you try to speed up, you don't save time. You end up making more mistakes. So please just slow down. Type it off properly. There you go. All right. My experiences with the Wim Hof method. Oh, that's the link that I just posted or posting. There we go. It should be there. So yeah, you can check that out. But I'd also recommend just Google searching more about Wim Hof in general. Like, there's tons of research and real science to back up the benefits of this. Like, it's not just some fad or whatever. Like, there's there's actual benefits to building your body's tolerance to cold. And it strengthens, you know, the nervous system, strengthens your immune system. I mean, there's a lot of powerful benefits to it. And so, yeah, definitely something I am currently doing as a regular part of my health and wellness program, and I would definitely recommend it. And do so in a gradual, progressive fashion. Like, that's one of the big things. Like, a lot of people hear about this and think they got to go, like, dive headfirst into the deep end and all or nothing. No, like, you build up to it very, very slowly. Like, I followed his program. Like, he has an app that has a structured program there. And, like, to build up to cold showers, like, a lot of people think, oh, I got to turn on this ice cold shower. I got to jump into a bucket full of ice and suffer it out from day one. No. Get your regular shower at regular temperature and everything else. And then at the end, just turn it down, turn it to cold, and then stay in the cold for like 5 seconds and then get out. Like, that's it. Then day 2, do the same thing, your regular shower, and then at the end, turn it to cold and stay in there for 10 seconds and then get out. And then the next day, stay in there for 15 seconds and then get out. And like, build it up like 5 seconds at a time. Just like, anybody can do something for 5 seconds. Like, you can suffer it out, and it's just ever so slowly and progressive. Just this little bit of progress, you know, just better than you were before. Little bits of progress, and let it compound. And that's what I've been doing. And now, I mean, I get my regular shower and I can flip it to cold at the end. And as I mentioned, cold water here in Canada, this is pretty cold. Like, it's only 9 degrees Celsius here today. So the temperature of the water outside is pretty cold, but I can easily withstand it now for a couple minutes, like, reasonably comfortable. I mean, it ain't comfortable, I'll be honest. It's not comfortable. I mean, it's not unbearable. And you can build it up. And I mean, like, back when I was doing it regularly, I literally built it up to pretty extreme stuff where, like, in the wintertime, like, getting into the rivers in the middle of winter, you know, and staying in there for minutes at a time, or getting buried into a snowbank wearing nothing but my underwear and stuff like that, like, literally pure cold exposure in that sense. And it's amazing how you can build your tolerance up to that, just like progressive overload, right? And it still feels cold, but you can tolerate it. It's almost like when you're lifting weights and you get stronger, like, weight still feels heavy, but you can lift it. Like, a 300-pound barbell is always going to feel like a 300-pound barbell, but you can build your body to handle lifting a 300-pound barbell versus someone who's a beginner cannot. So the same thing applies with cold. Like, it's still going to feel cold, but you can tolerate it. And that's the unique thing about it. Like, so when I do cold exposure, yeah, it's freaking cold, but it's like, okay, I can handle it. Just the same as, like, when you're lifting weights, you know, it's freaking heavy, but I can lift it. You know, same thing. Yeah, but yeah, I'm a huge advocate of it. All right, I'm actually going to get ready and clue this up because I've got a lot of things on my plate here today. Let's see. I think there's pretty much a lot of feedback coming through there. All right. Let's see what I was doing. I'll answer one more question, then we'll clue it up. This is the very last one that came through. Vince was saying, when you're doing a bro split and you want to shorten the rest times, what are the benefits of doing this? If you shorten the rest times between your workout, it's going to have more of a cardiovascular benefit from it because, I mean, you're not getting that rest. It may have more of a calorie burning benefit because you're keeping yourself active and you're actually burning more calories in the unit of time. So if you did an hour of workout in the gym and you rested 30 seconds between sets versus resting a minute and 30, obviously over that hour, there's a lot more activity time in between. So you're getting more activity, thus more calorie burning. However, the drawbacks is, from a strength training point of view, you're not able to lift as heavy because you recover during those rest periods. So this is why you'll see strength athletes like power lifters, strongman, Olympic lifters, whatever. They take long rest periods between heavy attempts, you know, especially when they're going for max effort attempts. It's not uncommon to see, like, a power lifter, you know, who's shooting for a max effort lift, especially in a big heavy compound lift, to take 5 minutes or more between sets because they need that much time to mentally and physically get ready to do the lift. They just can't jump into it haphazardly. Like, oh, I did one set, 30 seconds later, I'm going to jump in, do a max effort lift. No, you have to prepare for it mentally and physically, and then also give your body time to regenerate its natural energy reserves, its ATP energy, that adenosine triphosphate. That takes time to regenerate. That's the explosive energy system that's used for max effort, strength, power work. So you're not maximizing your true strength and power energy systems when you take short rest periods. You're getting more into it's not cardio, it's not aerobic. What is it? It's the lactic acid energy system, right? Where you're really getting into that. It's high intensity and it's metabolically demanding, but it's not full on cardiovascular where it's long duration exercise, low intensity. It's not full on high intensity, short duration. It's kind of that in the middle exercise, and it's important to develop that. Like that's used in a lot of athletic sports and stuff like that. You know, like you see like a boxer doing a 3-minute round, going to be utilizing that lactic acid energy system. Like a lot of athletes who do, you know, sports and activities, they're in that energy system. So there is benefits to doing weight training with short rest periods to kind of stimulate that. But it depends on what your main goal is. If your main goal is peak power output, you need to incorporate phases where you optimize training for peak power output, and that includes taking longer rest periods. If your goal is maximum cardiovascular training, then you need to incorporate, you know, periods of short rest periods, and then also getting into that long duration aerobic training as well to maximize your cardiovascular output. But if your goal is in the middle, that lactic acid training system, then short rest times is a great way to tap into training that energy system. All right, I think that's going to clue it up. So I know there's probably a few more things there that I didn't get a chance to jump into, but I'm going to clue it up for today. In the meantime, if you do have anything that you would like to discuss with me, I mean, if you have any questions that weren't addressed during our video chat and you want to, feel free to email me or message me through Facebook, and we can have a chat and discuss this offline. And if you would like a copy of the Muscle After 40 PDF brochure that I mentioned to you earlier when I was outlining our 3-phase physique transformation system, metabolic reboot, fat loss accelerator, lean gain, body recomp, if you want a PDF that outlines that full system and explains it for you in detail, feel free to reach out to me, email or Facebook message me, and I will send that over to you as soon as possible. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed the video chat. If you did, give it a thumbs up and a like and a comment and all that good stuff. And I'll be back here again next week with another live Q&A. And hopefully Jeff will join me as well. All right. So enjoy your weekend. Take care. Have a great one. And I'll talk to you next time. Over and out.